What's going on, everyone? Jalil here. So you wrote down your resolutions, whether on paper or in your mind, and you decided that this is the year you finally take investing seriously. Or maybe you've already started by looking at stocks of your favorite companies. By the way, use my link below and get 2 free stocks when you sign up and another 2 free stocks when you deposit $100 before January 15th. So start the new year off right and get your stocks worth up to $1,600. Sign up now. But now you're considering investing in real estate and you're wondering if right now is a good time. In this video, I'll let you know if right now is a good time to jump in and why. So you're thinking about investing in real estate and you're not sure if right now is a good time, and I get it. I can see why some people may be a little bit hesitant when they see that home prices are at all-time highs. I mean, let's just take a look at some of these articles. US home prices surge, explaining the frenzy in the housing market. Boston home prices climb sky high, meeting home prices end year with a 14% jump. And not only are home prices at all-time highs, they're also rising at the fastest pace since 2004. And you remember what 2004 to 2007 was the start of, right? The thing is, these growing prices aren't isolated to the US alone. UK real estate, all-time highs. Buying frenzy in Canada, even Korea. Not only are home prices going through the roof, the supply of homes are doing the exact opposite. Inventory of homes are at all-time lows. So what we're seeing now is extremely high prices for a small amount of houses that are available. Or maybe you're doubtful for other reasons. Maybe you're thinking about all the people that aren't paying their mortgage, or all the tenants that aren't paying rent right now because of such high unemployment, so they're either in forbearance or simply just not paying at all. I mean, the most recent report shows that there are 3.5 million homeowners in forbearance, which accounts for almost $1 trillion worth of payments. So you may be thinking you're gonna hold off because you're predicting a wave of short sales and foreclosures, similar to what happened in the last crash, and that may present some type of buying opportunity for you. So with all of this considered, is now the time to buy real estate? And my answer is yes. But it also depends on what market you're in, and I'll explain that in a minute. The reason that I believe now is the time to buy may also be linked to some of the reasons that caused you to be unsure in the first place, believe it or not. Part of the reason why home prices are so high is because supply is so low. Low supply equals higher prices, basic supply and demand. Now, the reason we have low supply is because we have more buyers than ever. And the reason we have more buyers now is because interest rates are at all-time lows. Interest rates being at all-time lows allow people to spend more money than they would have usually spent. For example, let's say you were approved to buy a home where your monthly payment would be around $2,500. At a rate of 4%, you could buy a home worth $525,000 to get that $2,500 monthly payment. Now, with rates dropping in 2020, getting a rate of 3% is not that difficult, and it's only 1% lower. So if you still wanted that $2,500 payment, you can now afford a loan of $595,000. That's a $70,000 difference in buying power. And do you want to know what else will increase this pool of buyers? Future President Joe Biden stating that he wants to provide a $15,000 tax credit to first-time home buyers. This will entice even more buyers to the market, which will in return drop the prices even higher. And it does not stop there. The feds have already stated that they plan on keeping interest rates this low till at least 2023, which means this cheap money will be around for a few more years to come. More cheap money, more buyers come 2021. Now, for those of you probably saying, Jalil, you mentioned that there are 3.5 million homeowners in forbearance. Yes, I did. But when you look a little bit closer, you come to find out that there's 1 million of those people, although taking forbearance, they're actually current with their mortgage payment. So it's not as bad as it seems. And as far as foreclosures, the housing market isn't like the stock market. Things move a lot slower in real estate. A lot slower. I can open an app on my phone right now, scroll to my Apple stock, and sell shares within minutes. By the way, use my link below to get your 4 free stocks with Webull when you deposit $100. See, with real estate, it's not that simple. Once you actually decide that you want to sell your property, there's a number of steps that you got to complete for that sale to actually go through. And some of those steps include, you're going to have to hire a licensed real estate agent to list your property, who's then going to market it to qualified buyers that may have their own realtor, who's then going to spend days, weeks, even months negotiating the price that you wanted, for them to bring in an inspector who's going to outline everything they see wrong with your property, which can then cause more days, weeks, and months of negotiations to settle on a new price that the bank then has to send out an appraiser for to make sure it's worth the price that you said, which then gets put into contract between the attorney you hired and the buyer's attorney, and you negotiate other things such as whether or not the washer and dryer comes with the house. Then you pick a closing date 30 to 60 days out, and hopefully the stars align and you close on that date that you agreed upon 3 to 12 months ago. Simple, right? All jokes aside, simply put, selling your real estate requires you to sell it to someone else, which means that there are more people involved. And when there are more people involved, things can't move as quickly as you want them to because there are more decision makers involved. So it's not as simple as selling your own stock. The reason this is important is because to see this major crash, we would need to see a wave of new homes coming onto the market, an increased supply, which means we would have all these sellers completing all these steps at the exact same time. Otherwise, the buyers will simply just purchase these properties as they enter the market, because right now there are way more buyers than there are sellers. Now, the reason why I say it depends on your market is something that I don't see a lot of people discussing. A lot of people mention the pending foreclosures coming once the eviction and forbearance options expire. But forbearance and evictions differ from state to state. Take it from someone who lives in New York, which happens to be a tenant-friendly state. Evictions here can take up to a year, if not more, while other states that happen to be more landlord-friendly have already started processing evictions, even during the pandemic. So this will ultimately affect the timeline of how these houses come to the market, with some states offloading properties months before others due to their state laws, which in return will allow buyers to scoop them up at a decent rate because there are way more buyers than sellers at the moment. And that's all if the new administration doesn't come out with a new stimulus package extending the rights of tenants and landlords to protect them from a foreclosure crisis to begin with. So let's wrap all of this up. Although we have home prices at all-time highs, supply levels at all-time lows, 3.5 million homeowners in forbearance, and a current tenant crisis, believe it or not, I still do not believe in 2021 we will see a major housing crisis, barring some extreme unforeseen circumstances, of course. There would have to be a massive sell-off of homes all around the same exact time. We would also need to see the new administration take a back seat, which we can clearly see they're not going to do if Biden plans on providing tax credits to new homeowners. And there would also have to be a decrease in the number of buyers taking advantage of this cheap money out here, even though we know the feds don't have any plans to increase interest rates for the next few years. So not only do I doubt that there will be a major housing crisis this year, we can actually expect home prices to further increase, at best, stabilize. And there are also some key differences between what's happening now and what happened in 2009. See, back in 2009, the average LTV, loan to value, was 94%, meaning homeowners owed as much as 94% on their home. Today, that average is 70%. There's a lot more cushion now for these homeowners to work with. Due to prices increasing so much, they have a lot more equity to play with. So instead of going through a foreclosure, most of these homeowners can simply just sell their property. And even if they're behind on some payments, instead of selling, they can just refinance with rates being so low and get a low mortgage payment in the process. Probably most important, we also have multiple vaccines coming out to the market, which will most likely ease up the restrictions and lockdowns, and in turn increase spending when everyone that's been pent up for so long comes out to enjoy their freedom. People who were once scared to travel and move will now take advantage of that, knowing that it's somewhat safer that there's a vaccine released. I personally believe it's a great idea to take advantage of rates as low as 3% in these times. So those are my thoughts on a potential housing crisis for 2021. We'll have to wait and see though. Remember to get your free stocks using my link below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Okay. Take a sip. And there would also have to be a decrease in the number of buyers taking advantage of this cheap money out here, even though we know the Freds. How many batteries left?